King 5 News with Joyce Taylor, Mark Wright, Rich Marriott First Alert Weather, and Tracy Taylor Traffic. Number 1 in Western Washington, King 5 Morning News on KON.
Good morning. 8:10 is the time right now. Technology changes our lives, but is it making the environment better? We're going to talk with an expert about that coming up next.
Also at 8:40.
8:17 the time right now. If you think about how much we rely on technology, it may astound you. And joining us this morning is research scientist Dr. Michael Huesemann. Is that how we say it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Doctor? He's also the author of the book Technofix, Why Technology Won't Save Us or the Environment. It's great to have you here, Doctor.
Okay, thank you.
Let's set a benchmark here. You question the belief that technology can save humanity. Define what you mean by that in your new book.
Well, you know, we have all these problems right now. Environmental pollution, we have global climate change, we have human overpopulation, and all of these problems are created by technology, actually. And what do we want to do? We want to apply more technology to solve them. And we call this in our book, we call it Technofix. These Technofixes, we believe, are not really a solution because they will cause other unintended side effects and consequences. So we believe really that the best solution is small-scale local technology, environmentally sustainable, and they will address the root cause of the problem and thereby provide lasting solutions.
Let's set a benchmark. What are the biggest environmental problems facing us right now?
Well, I personally would say global warming is for sure one of the biggest problems, and then of course persistent organic chemicals that accumulate everywhere in our bodies and in the animals' bodies worldwide are definitely very significant.
So then how do we solve those problems? I mean, some people have talked about carbon taxing, and so are we talking about changes in personal behavior? Is that the real solution, not some new technology?
Well, ultimately it has to be a combination between personal behavior and new technology. The technology has to change. It has to be an environmentally sustainable technology. Some technology that we call it green chemistry, for instance, a green technology where the chemicals are biodegradable and not dangerous to the environment. But at the same time, we also have to change our habits, our values and behaviors. We cannot have, you know, consumption, this endless consumption, economic growth, and also not endless population growth. Of course, that's bad for the environment as well. So
now that we have billions of computers and billions of smartphones and, you know, hundreds of millions of tablets in the world, that's an example of, I mean, that technology has to go somewhere, right? It's creating a new stream of pollution.
Exactly. While I'm not a specialist in this, I've heard, I mean, not only pollution, we need rare earth metals, I believe, for cell phones, so that's a problem, but then also the disposal. Can you imagine the disposal of billions of these devices? This must be quite a challenge. So I don't know whether this is an environmentally sustainable technology, really.
So we live in a pretty tech-savvy community. Seattle is one of the most wired, one of the most educated. I want you to talk right to the people at home in terms of what can we do as individuals to help solve some of these environmental problems when it comes to the way we use technology.
Well, I think one way to become active and more critical is to be critical of any new technology. Do not believe that all these new technologies that are advertised on the media will be the solution to your problems, because it has been actually shown that people are not really that much more happy with all these technologies. So that's one way, to be more critical about technology. But then also to try to do small-scale technologies, local technologies. For instance, what you just said, what can we do? Local organic agriculture. This is an example of an environmentally sustainable technology and a local technology. So everybody can eat local organic food if they wanted to. So that's one way to do it. Of course, bicycling is a sustainable technology. Walking is a sustainable technology. If you want
living
to call
closer to where you work.
Exactly. There are all these solutions that we can easily do. Actually, this is basically the message of this book. We do not need all this high-tech solution. We can do it right here by ourselves. They have done it before, the Industrial Revolution. But before the Industrial Revolution, there were not these problems, so we can do it again. There's not really any problem. So I'm pretty optimistic, actually, that we can do it.
That's interesting. You know, I grew up on an organic farm, and it's interesting that up until about, I don't know, 80 years ago, that was the way it was. and then technology took over and chemicals and everything, and now we're getting back to that.
Right, exactly, exactly. So there's no reason why we couldn't go back to that.
Yeah. Do you have hope for solving issues like global warming? Because we still have emerging economies like China and India that are pumping massive amounts of carbon. So are we still into the air.
Well, of course. I myself actually work in researching global warming and biofuels, so I do believe in biofuels. However, the problem with biofuels and all renewable energy is if you do it on a very large scale, there are also environmental consequences. If you have windmills all over, if you have solar panels all over, if you cut all the forests for biomass energy, there will be also environmental consequences. So I do have hope, but we have to be careful not to just plaster, millions of square miles with solar panels. I think people wouldn't like that.
Yeah, you're going to be talking at Town Hall Seattle, right?
Right, correct.
What's the most common thing that people ask you when they talk to you at events like this?
Well, they ask basically, what can I do as a person? Basically, what you already asked me. So I think looking for simple solutions, low-tech solutions, I believe is a long-term.
Well, it's great to meet you, Dr. Michael Huesemann. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Great. Thank you.
And as I mentioned, he will be at Town Hall Seattle tonight beginning at 7:30. The doors open at 6:30. The event ends at 9 o'clock. Town Hall is at 8th Avenue in Seneca in just above downtown Seattle. Tickets are just $5. So thanks very much, Doctor. All right, as we continue right here, some people, they want to be...